Welcome, my friend, to this lesson, How to Think and Speak in English. If you are watching this video, it means that you don't just want to learn grammar or memorize vocabulary, you want to train your brain to operate in English naturally. Think about how you learned your first language as a child. You didn't translate from another language. You didn't look up rules in a book. You simply listened, absorbed, and then began to speak. This is exactly what you need to practice if you want to reach fluency in English. The good news is that it's possible for anyone, regardless of age or background. The challenge is that you must change your mindset. Stop thinking, I will translate this from my language into English, and instead start thinking, I will experience and express everything directly in English. That shift in mindset is the foundation of real fluency, and today we are going to walk through step by step how to achieve it. One of the biggest mistakes learners make is relying too heavily on translation. For example, if your native language is Spanish, Chinese, or Arabic, you might always hear a thought in your language first and then try to translate it into English before speaking. The problem is that this creates a delay. Imagine that your brain is a road. If you always take a detour through translation, you will always arrive late. But if you go directly, your communication will flow smoothly. Fluency is not just about knowing English words, it's about connecting ideas in English instantly. So the first principle is simple: reduce translation. You can practice this by labeling everyday things in English in your mind. When you see your phone, say phone. When you see water, say water. By doing this repeatedly, you build a natural connection between the English word and the object or idea, without needing your first language as the middle step. Let's think about children again. A baby doesn't wake up one morning and say, I will study grammar. Instead, they are surrounded by language, and their brain starts to make connections automatically. You can do the same, even as an adult. The key is listening and input. The more English you listen to, the more patterns your brain begins to recognize. This is why listening practice is not just passive, it is training your brain to think in English. For example, if you listen daily to English conversations, podcasts, or even stories, over time your brain begins to anticipate phrases. You hear, how are you? And your brain automatically expects doing. This is fluency building itself in your subconscious. The goal is not perfection in grammar, but natural rhythm, natural response, and confidence in using English without hesitation. But here is a question many learners ask: how do I stop thinking in my language when it's automatic? The answer is, you don't need to completely erase your native language. You simply need to create stronger pathways in English. Think of your brain like a forest. The more you walk on a path, the clearer and wider it becomes. At first, the English path is small and difficult, so you return to the comfortable road of your native language. But if you keep walking, listening, reading, and speaking in English, the English path becomes the main road. This doesn't mean forgetting your native language. It means giving English more space in your brain. You can start small. When you are alone, describe what you see around you in English. Say to yourself, the sky is blue. I am sitting on a chair. I feel tired. This simple exercise forces your thoughts to exist in English without translation. Another important shift is learning to accept mistakes. Many learners hesitate to think in English because they are afraid of being wrong. They believe that if they cannot form a perfect sentence, they should not speak at all. But fluency is not about being perfect, it's about being understood. When you think in English, allow yourself to use simple words and simple structures. For example, instead of trying to translate a complex idea from your language, use the English words you know. If you don't know how to say I'm exhausted, just say I'm very tired. Fluency comes when you stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be clear. Over time, as you listen and learn, your vocabulary and accuracy will naturally improve. But the first step is courage. Allow yourself to think in English, even if it's not perfect. Finally, remember that fluency is about speed and flow. If you always pause to translate, your flow is broken. But if you train yourself to think in English, your speech becomes smoother. A good exercise is shadowing. This means listening to a native speaker, maybe from a video, an audiobook, or this very lesson, and repeating what they say in real time. Don't worry about mistakes or missing a word. The purpose is to get your brain and mouth moving in English together. Over time, this builds a natural rhythm, and your thinking begins to align with English patterns. Shadowing is like training your muscles in a gym. The more you do it, the stronger and faster your English brain becomes. In the next section, we will go deeper into practical strategies to train your brain to think and speak directly in English. Now that you understand the mindset, let's move into practice. Thinking in English is not something that happens automatically in one day. It's a habit that must be trained daily. One of the most effective exercises is narrating your day in English. From the moment you wake up, try to describe what you're doing, but do it in English. For example, when you wake up, say to yourself, I am getting out of bed. I am brushing my teeth. I am making coffee. These small sentences may feel simple, but they train your brain to describe reality in English without translation. Later, you can expand. I am getting ready for work. I feel nervous about my meeting today. I hope it goes well. This practice allows your thoughts to live in English, and over time, it becomes natural to think this way. Another powerful strategy is internal conversation. Imagine that you are having a conversation with yourself in English. Ask yourself questions and then answer them. For example, you can say in your mind, what do I want to eat for lunch today? Maybe I will have rice and chicken. No, I think I want pasta. This exercise is like mental role-playing, and it helps you practice thinking without needing another person. Over time, your inner voice, the one you usually hear in your native language, starts to operate in English. When this happens, you begin to notice that English is no longer just a subject you study. It becomes a natural part of your thought process. You begin to live in English, even when you are silent. Let's talk about listening as a mirror. Listening to English is not only about understanding others, it is also about building the structure of your own thoughts. For example, when you listen to a podcast or watch a movie, don't just focus on the meaning. Pay attention to the expressions people use. If someone says, "That makes sense," repeat it quietly to yourself. When you hear, "I've been thinking about that," say it again. This repetition plants phrases in your mind, and later, your brain will use them automatically. This is what I call borrowing the brain of a native speaker. You borrow their phrases until they become your own. Listening is like filling your mental toolbox with ready-to-use sentences that will help you think and speak more smoothly. Another key practice is shadowing and repetition drills. As I mentioned earlier, shadowing means repeating what you hear at the same time as the speaker. But there's another level. After shadowing, pause and repeat the phrase again, slowly, then faster, then in your own sentences. For example, if you shadow the phrase, "I'm looking forward to it," afterward, you can say, "I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm looking forward to meeting my friend. I'm looking forward to eating dinner." By repeating and adapting, you make the phrase part of your thinking system. This transforms passive listening into active thinking, and soon you will notice that these expressions come to your mind instantly, without effort. Reading is also a great tool to train your thinking. But the secret is not just reading silently, it's reading aloud. When you read aloud, you activate both your brain and your mouth at the same time. You are practicing thinking, speaking, and listening all at once. Choose material that is slightly below your maximum level, something you can mostly understand. For example, short stories, graded readers, or simple news articles. When you read aloud, don't rush. Focus on rhythm, clarity, and pronunciation. Then, after reading, close the book and try to summarize what you read in English, using your own words. This pushes your brain to organize thoughts directly in English instead of translating. Finally, let's talk about thinking in categories. Many learners struggle because they try to learn random vocabulary lists that don't connect. But your brain remembers better when ideas are grouped. For example, choose a theme for the week: food, travel, or feelings. Spend the week practicing sentences and thoughts in that category. If your theme is food, every time you eat, describe it in English. This is sweet. This is spicy. I like the taste of this soup. If your theme is feelings, describe your emotions. I feel excited. I feel nervous. I feel relaxed. By organizing your thinking practice in categories, you create stronger memory links. This method makes it easier for your brain to retrieve words when you need them in real conversations. Thinking in English is powerful, but the next step is to bring those thoughts into real conversations. Many learners keep English only in their mind, but fluency requires speaking out loud. Don't wait until you feel perfect to speak. Fluency grows through practice, not waiting. Start with simple daily expressions. For example, when you buy something, say thank you very much. When you meet a friend who speaks English, say, how's it going? Even if these moments are small, they train your brain to connect thoughts with action. Remember, speaking is a muscle. If you don't use it, it becomes weak. But if you practice daily, even with short sentences, your fluency muscles grow stronger. Over time, your thoughts and your spoken words will flow together without hesitation. Another technique is speaking with yourself out loud. Some learners feel embarrassed about this, but it is one of the most effective exercises. Stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself in English. Describe your day, your feelings, or even your dreams. Say, today I feel motivated. I want to finish my work early. Later, I will cook something delicious. This may feel strange at first, but it trains your mouth to express what your brain is thinking in real time. You can even role-play conversations, such as ordering food, asking for directions, or having an interview. By practicing these dialogues aloud, you prepare yourself for real-life situations. The more you practice, the less nervous you feel when speaking with other people. Let's talk about confidence. Many learners know enough English to speak, but fear stops them. They think, what if I make a mistake? What if people laugh at me? The truth is, mistakes are not signs of weakness. They are signs of progress. Every mistake shows that you are using English, not hiding from it. Native speakers will not laugh at you for trying. In fact, most will respect you. The key is to focus on communication, not perfection. If someone understands your meaning, you have succeeded. Imagine two people. One speaks slowly, carefully, and nervously, but rarely makes mistakes. Another speaks freely, makes many mistakes, but communicates with energy. Which person seems more fluent? The second one. Confidence creates fluency faster than perfectionism ever will. Immersion is another way to push your brain into English thinking. This doesn't mean you must live in an English-speaking country. You can create immersion wherever you are. Change your phone language to English. Watch movies and series without subtitles or with English subtitles. Listen to English music and try to catch the lyrics. Follow English-speaking YouTubers or podcasts about topics you love: sports, cooking, technology, anything. When you surround yourself with English, your brain has no choice but to adapt. Over time, English stops being a foreign language and becomes part of your daily environment. This constant exposure keeps your brain switched on in English, and it becomes easier to think directly in it. One advanced practice is journaling in English. Every night, write a short diary entry in English. Don't worry about grammar, mistakes, just write freely. You can write, "Today I went to the market. I bought vegetables, I met my friend, and we talked about the weather." This may seem basic, but the act of writing your daily thoughts in English reinforces your ability to think in English. Later, you can expand. "I felt stressed today because I had too much work, but I learned how to stay calm by taking a short walk." Over weeks and months, journaling will give you a record of your progress. You will look back and realize that sentences which once felt difficult now come easily. This builds both skill and confidence. In conclusion, learning to think and speak in English is a journey, not a single lesson. The steps are clear. Stop translating, practice daily narration, hold internal conversations, shadow native speakers, read aloud, group vocabulary in categories, speak out loud, and immerse yourself in English. Most importantly, build confidence by embracing mistakes as part of learning. Fluency is not about speaking perfectly, it is about thinking and living in English naturally. If you practice these steps every day, little by little, your brain will shift. You will stop asking, "How do I translate this?" and instead, you will simply express yourself. That is the real goal of English learning, not just studying rules, but using the language as a living tool. So keep listening, keep speaking, and remember, the more you live in English, the faster English will live inside you.